This is a very significant moment in terms of rugby football. Very significant in that we've had Ireland, Scotland, Wales and Italy playing in this competition. We've always felt good and proud of the fact that it's a cross-border competition. But from now on, it's not only cross-border in Europe, but we'll be crossing hemispheres. As I say, that is a wonderful moment for rugby football. I'd like to thank the shareholders of what once was the Pro12, and also the executives for working to get to this very moment. It hasn't been easy. It's been a very difficult and complex road that we have traveled to get to this position. But I think it's now a wonderful occasion that we are a Pro14. There are skeptics out there, as we all know, when something new and as revolutionary as this comes about. But we are proving that this is going to be a wonderful competition. But not only in the sense of the competition itself, of the winning and the losing, but that it is also a culturally important factor in that we are coming together north and south to play in this competition. I welcome you all here. Thank you very much for coming.
Just to kick things off, guys, Martin, could you explain to the guys what this means for the Guinness Pro14 that we now have today?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone can hear me. First of all, thank you very much for hosting us here today. Thank you very much for hosting us today. It's a really momentous occasion. We're incredibly proud to be here in Cape Town. With Jurie Roux's assistance, this has come together relatively quickly, but in a very compelling way. So yeah, for us, this is a momentous occasion. We're very proud to be here, and we can't wait to get it kicked off. It is a very novel approach to World Rugby, Southern Hemisphere versus Northern Hemisphere, and we're very excited.
And Jurie, it's an incredible day for South African rugby as well. Could you just tell us a little bit your feelings about this decision?
Yeah, obviously a momentous day. Not only making this announcement, but sitting next to a legend like I am here. I had the privilege of serving with him on the Council of World Rugby, and he's a rugby man through and through, and we really appreciate you coming out all this way to do this today. But yeah, historic in many ways. I think probably every media person in this room has written about this at some stage over the last 5 years, speculating on South Africa participating in the Northern Hemisphere, and very happy that we're actually at that point, along with all of the other stakeholders, in moving towards the Northern Hemisphere. Then obviously introducing summer rugby. We are playing rugby 12 months of the year, but South Africa gets pretty hot at some stage, but looking forward to some summer exercise and some summer fun, other than just the other sports in the country. So something completely new, you know, bringing legendary and pretty big clubs to South Africa that have never played here before. We tend to see them playing in European Rugby Championships, etc. But having the opportunity to bring them over, and I won't name them because I might miss one and then I'll be in serious trouble. But really looking forward to that, and all of us sitting in the room, and we all watch them playing on Saturdays and Sundays in the other competitions, so I think there'll be keen interest in that. Then probably more a little bit light-hearted, I think Martin, myself and our boards have accomplished something that World Rugby has been trying for a really, really long time. I mean, we're halfway there to a global season, so if you give us another 24 months, we might get there. So really looking forward to that. And now I actually don't have to fly to Dublin 4 times a year to have a Guinness. I might be able to have it in my own country. But you know, from a more serious note, life is about diversity, life is about options, and life is about opportunities. And we as South African Rugby feel truly blessed that all of the shareholders and all of the unions see faith in us and see faith in our teams, and have given us the opportunity to participate in the competition north In that, it creates a little bit more diversity. It makes perfect sense for us in terms of time zones, and it provides us options for bigger international exposure for our teams. And hopefully we will be able to contribute to the competition, which is already a great competition, and obviously prepare our players for that autumn test series that we always got to go play, and we struggle the first 2 matches because we're just not used to the conditions. So a really, really big day for us, and a lot of gratitude to Martin, his whole team, and all of the shareholders for providing us with this opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for questions.
Jurie, if we can start, I mean, we all know what the King's financial situation is, or is the Province financial situation. Is SARU going to continue to support them into this competition like they did in Super Rugby?
Yeah, well, they're in a lot better shape than where they used to be. The liquidation has been nullified in terms of the Nelson Mandela Metropole, and they actually did 3 as they stand there. So, as with any other agreement, South African Rugby underwrites the teams that participate in that competition, whether that's SANZA or Pro14, it doesn't make a difference. So that's a standard agreement in terms of any World Rugby competition. So we will constitute a new board, they will get their sponsors, and they'll be on the pitch and they'll be playing. And I think the part that we need to focus is on them competing and beating a few of these teams so that they don't get too relaxed in their structures. But South African Rugby underwrites all of their units participating in international competitions.
Martin, Craig Ray from the Sunday Times in South Africa. Could you just give us a timeline on how this came about? And were you actively seeking new teams? Were you approached by SA Rugby? Could you just give us some of the detail of the background to the whole deal?
Yeah, okay. I think that, when I came in 2 years ago, the board and the shareholders had a very clear plan that this was an expansionist tournament. It was already cross-border. We use the word, it's in our DNA to be such. And we sit in an economic environment where we have to do things differently. The markets that we operate in, we have great deals with Sky Sports and with BBC and so on. We need to look at bigger markets, first-party markets, and we need to look at the way that we can spread that across multiple territories. So with that in mind, we'd always looked at South Africa, we'd always looked at other markets that fit that bill. And when we talked to Jurie about it, it came about very quickly because all of those sort of fundamental pieces were there for us to move on. So, it's months, not years, but it came together quickly, but in the right way. Everyone was mutually benefiting from it. So that's a pretty powerful tool to get things going quickly and efficiently.
Martin, it's been reported that you were also looking at the North American market. What makes the South African market more attractive than the North American market or any other market for that matter?
We looked at lots of different things when we were going through the process of looking to expand the tournament. A lot of different areas, so from a competition point of view, from a logistics, player welfare point of view, but also commercially. When we looked at the way that the teams played in South Africa, and actually they were playing the same sort of style of attractive attacking rugby that we play in the Guinness Pro 12. So it kind of suited the style. And then when we got our heads around, actually the time zone works pretty well. It's an overnight flight, so that area was taken care of. And then commercially, it makes sense with such a big, passionate fan base here in South Africa. So it's not to say that door is closed in North America. It's just this is a much more compelling opportunity for us at this stage.
Sorry, Jurie Roux from Sport24. We've seen the attendance struggles in Super Rugby. What about this competition, if anything, is going to be any different in terms of getting the fans of both of these franchises to the stadiums?
Well, I think we're on record that we believe in, especially in South African rugby terms, that we've got to look at our product and how we actually put our product forward, and that's not only what we do on the field, but what we do around the field and in terms of the stadiums and the entertainment. I do believe there will be some new interest in terms of different clubs. It's not the same teams that you see playing year in, year out. If you think about about Super Rugby. I mean, we're way beyond 20 years in that as it is at the moment. So there's a keen interest in those competitions, and you can see that from the viewership numbers on our broadcasters when we were not even playing in it. So I think it's new energy, new teams, very old traditional teams, and hopefully the teams will support that. And it's maybe a different time of the year, and it will not clash with other international competitions. Some clashes with the local competitions for the first year, but we will overcome that problem within the next 2 months in a restructuring of our competitions for 2018. But I think there's genuine interest in the players. The South African crowds only see them on an inbounds, and that's on a rotation base only like 3 or 4 times in a 12-year period. So I think there'll be some interest in this new competition. And then obviously proof of concept. There's all of these perceptions and all of this thinking about playing Northern Hemisphere teams and how strong are we really. We never really get the opportunity to measure ourselves because we're always playing in an international team, and of late we've been pretty second in that. So hopefully our clubs can rectify that for us a bit.
And in terms of broadcasting rights, I mean, how much do we know at this stage? The Supersport completely on board? Will only the SA games be televised? Will it be all of the games? Do we know?
Well, in terms of that, we obviously want to make a separate announcement in terms of the broadcaster, hence the announcement not being made. So a little bit of a second hype and affording them the opportunity of that hype, whichever that partner might be. But yeah, obviously there's some scheduling in terms of the games, and some games will be broadcast and some won't be broadcast. But as much as the broadcasters can deliver on, and hopefully enough to entertain everybody. I think there's also a fair argument at the moment that there's too much rugby on TV, so maybe we can strike a balance there.
Martin, for years we regarded Super Rugby as the ultimate competition in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. You've got a platform to sell the competition. Do you think Guinness Pro14 is the ultimate place to be for rugby? How do you compete with Super Rugby?
Yeah, well, exactly. I think that's the perfect. We'll get an answer very shortly. I think we do pride ourselves on our competition. Our great chairman here played in a certain style, and that's kind of the way our teams attack. And we've had 4 different winners in 4 years, playing an attractive brand of rugby. We never scored as many tries as we did last season. From World Rugby statistics, including Super Rugby, we have the best statistics for ball in play, attacking rugby stats. They tend to sit with the Guinness Pro 12, and we think they'll go forward into the Guinness Pro 14. So from a competition point of view, we play a great brand of rugby. We come with arguably 2 of the biggest clubs in the world, in Munster and Leinster, in terms of support, fan base. They are the biggest 2 in the world. And then you've got great clubs like the Scarlets, who won our league, playing a super brand of rugby. Glasgow Warriors doing the same. So I think we want to be that point of difference. We want to be an attractive proposition. We want to bring in a new fan base. We see ourselves as slightly different to the rest of those leagues in Europe. We play a different brand of rugby because we don't have promotion relegation. And I think now, with moving to a new format model, conference model, that will be even more at the forefront of our minds to push forward more teams playing, more knockout rugby. That's what we're about.
Craig, again, the entry of the 2 South African teams potentially into European competition, how many hurdles are there to get over to make that a reality?
It's a good question. I think actually one thing I should have said at the top, not only do we have our chairman, but we have a chairman of the WRU there in Gerald Davies. We've got the CEO of Pro Rugby Wales there in Mark Davies. We've got the COO here of the SARU in Dominic Mackay. We really are coming out strong. And the reason why I named those, and Andrea Rinaldo as well from the FIR, the Italian Federation. The reason why I named them, they are the shareholders of that competition. We come here in strength, we represent that competition, but we're not the only participants, we're not the only shareholders. I think in the future will make a lot of sense, but competition and how well the teams do in our league will go a long way to furthering that argument for Europe, I think.
Jurie, is there some kind of income distribution to SA Rugby, for example, that might benefit, allow a team like the Kings to become a sustainable entity? Because obviously we've seen that they lose their best players. Is this going to have a commercial benefit for these teams?
Well, absolutely it will have a commercial benefit. I have to say in the interim, our focus is getting 2 teams playing international rugby. That was the first step and first objective. And then there's obviously a bigger sustainability argument. It's not only the Kings, it's all of the franchises in the country. And as you all know, we've been busy with that process since last year, and probably will move closer to the culmination of that process towards the end of the year. But it's all about sustainability, it's all about financial sustainability and the commercial options that you get. So if you take the scenario in that they would not have been playing international rugby and now actually do play international rugby, obviously there's some commercial value in that. For our interim, we get entry, and we get entry through broadcasting money and obviously through sponsorships and investment. So pretty comfortable at the moment. It'll always be tough in terms of your first 2 years, and we're not blind to that, and we're going with it with open eyes. But we're happy that there's faith in us, and that after 2 years we would have proven ourselves both from a sustainability point of view and more importantly from a quality and performance point of view.
I'm trying to check with you in the last press conference when you announced that the 2 teams are leaving Super Rugby, you mentioned South Africa is still very much committed to SANZAR. I should probably ask this question to the Western Province Rugby Union. Sitting here in the press conference where they're announcing 2 sides are going to Europe now, are there any plans of any other South African sides also going to Europe now?
Yeah, even if there was, I wouldn't tell you that. But, and I'm not being malicious. You're asking me a question whilst I'm in agreement with SANZAR for the next 3 years. So it would be a career-limiting move to say anything different. So I'll give you the diplomatic answer. We are committed to SANZAR, and we've got agreement till the end of 2020. We are going into a negotiation period for the next phase in the next 2 years, and whichever that result is, we'll make a decision on that. But having said that, we believe we are strong because we play Australia and New Zealand sides all the time. That relationship has been to great benefit of South African Rugby Union for more than 20 years. And they're our partners, and at that stage, we don't foresee not playing New Zealand and Australian teams in the future. What we do have is the opportunity to expand in terms of our competitions and to expand in terms of our horizons. And we're trying to take that opportunity. So we might net out with a different structure in the future, but not playing in the South in any way or form, it's almost unthinkable, because purely out of a financial point of view and a financial sustainability, you'll suffer.
Jurie, can you foresee a scenario, you've been talking about restructuring our competitions, can you foresee a scenario where the Currie Cup becomes a more meaningful competition in the future? Because obviously this also poses additional...
I did read your report this week, so the reality of the Currie Cup is it's the oldest competition in the world. We are seriously considering, and hopefully we'll have a result by the 29th of August in our franchise committee and our non-franchise committee meetings on the future of that and how to structure that in between these other competitions that we have. If you go global and if you go into different continents in terms of your competitions, there's always going to be sacrifices. So possible sacrifices, a reduction in, possible not a double round, but having a strength versus strength for a single round. But we have got a commitment in terms of SANZAR, in terms of where we're going to play strength-wise, and we've got a commitment towards Pro14 and where we're going to play strength-wise, and we'll honour those commitments. But in the same time, look at our current structures, possibly have reductions in some of the other competitions so that we can schedule them. It'll be an interim period, because as you all know, the global calendar is changing in 2021. We've got an agreement up until 2032, I think. And there'll be some significant, they might not seem significant, but there's some significant changes in terms of the calendar, even if it's only by a month, but it makes a massive change in terms of how we'll be able to play and how we'll be able to structure our competitions going forward.
Sorry, I'm just going to follow up on Stephen's question, and I'm not sure, forgive me for my ignorance, I'm not sure when the Guinness starts, but say for argument's sake, the cheapest makes it to a final because they're still unbeaten in the competition. How do they go about with this stuff?
clashes with the Pro14, they are playing the Pro14 competition on that day, and that's where their commitment stands.
Even if they make it to a final possible.
Yes.
Martin, I'm not sure if you know. There's a team called Western Force. It seems like they're also looking for a new home now, sir.
There's a man over there.
But Martin, on that point, seriously though, have you extrapolated the models out? Is there room for more growth in the Guinness Pro14? Is it 16 or 18?
There is, yeah. I mean, a big part of the whole process over the last 2 years is to create a competition format structure that allows us to grow further. As I said, very early on, it became clear, and rightly so, that our future is an expansion, not contraction. Our future is to make sure that we do the best with World Rugby. It makes us pretty much aligned to their strategic direction as well. So if you have that in mind, you look to expand, not contract, and our model will allow us to do that.
We've seen in the Southern Hemisphere that the expansion of derby matches has maybe diluted the product slightly, and obviously one of your selling points was the 3 derby matches in this competition. Sometimes more is not more. Are you wary of too many derby matches?
Yeah, I think we've got the right balance now, I think, actually. I'll give an example. In Scotland, for example, they have an 1872 Scottish Cup. It's gone really well. They have record attendances for those 2 games. Now they get a winner for like best of 3. I think if we added another game, it would be going too far. So I think they're the right balance there, but I take your point. I also take the point about conferences and how convoluted perhaps that's got in Super Rugby, and we've tried to take that into account with the model that we have. We're trying to make sure that we make it as simple as you can for a conference format where everybody does play each other at least once a season. We had some cornerstone pieces to make sure that we fit everything else around, and one of those was the derby games, but we've done, hopefully, a good job of learning lessons elsewhere and trying to put those in right for this conference format.
If we can bring the conference to a close. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for the questions you asked. And we all look forward to a great competition. But in closing, if I can also thank Mark Alexander, the President of the South African Rugby Union, and Jurie here, the Chief Executive, for hosting this function. A very important function for a very important and significant competition. Thank you all very much.